So today we're going to continue lesson 5.2 off of yesterday's material. So we're looking at verifying trig functions again. Taking another day to debrief and kind of work on a few problems in this lesson. You're going to have a little formative assessment that you'll have to submit today as part of the requirements of your daily assignments. But we look at this meme to kind of start to hopefully brighten up your day here. It says you can be cosine squared and I can be sine squared, and together we'll be one. In fact, this is the exact same pickup line that I used on my wife. Little known fact. But before we start, this is all about reviewing sort of the last couple sections to help you guys prepare for that mid-chapter exam coming up. So the first two questions kind of stem off of 5.1, and then these last two we'll look at together with verifying some trig identities before I have you guys try one in a little bit. So let's first kind of do some review off of 5.1. So let's look at that first problem here. It says rewrite cotangent squared cosine so that it does not involve a fraction. And so this was 5.1. We don't know what this is supposed to equal. Remember in 5.2 we have what the trig identity should equal. So with these we got to kind of run through our strategies here. So the first step is, remember, look to see if there's any trig identities that you can sub in right away. In fact, I do see a cotangent squared, so I possibly could sub in the fact that cotangent squared equals cosecant squared minus 1. But notice if I do that, now you made the numerator a little bit more messier than what it should be. So this one's a little tricky in the fact that since it's involving a fraction, and hopefully you remember these strategies from before, but I see a fraction. One strategy with fraction is common denominator work. However, there's no two fractions here. Another strategy is you could do conjugate work. And remember with conjugates only happen when there's a binomial on the bottom. And if you notice, that bottom term there is a binomial, two terms. So let's maybe try that here to start. And so I'm going to rewrite the top part first, so the entire function. And what I'm going to do is multiply by the conjugate of the bottom, which the conjugate of the bottom would be cosecant of x plus 1. And I have to do that to top and bottom. So this one right here is a conjugate type. So on top, let's just kind of keep the top the same for now. Remember, anytime you're doing conjugate work, the best strategy is maybe simplifying the numerator, obviously, in the end, but also foiling the denominator to see if there's a trig identity that appears. In fact, if I foil the denominator, I get cosecant squared plus cosecant squared minus cosecant squared is going to cancel. And so that last term is minus 1. And so now, let's try to think about maybe some expressions that we can use to help us simplify this. Well, notice the bottom, when I did FOIL, that is a Pythagorean identity. In fact, that itself equals cotangent squared if you look back on your notes. And so since that equals cotangent squared, I'm going to directly replace that with cotangent squared. And notice when I do that, the cotangent squareds will cancel. And so I have cotangent squared cosine x times cosecant x plus 1 on top all over cotangent squared of x, which cancels, and what you're left with is cosine of x times cosecant x plus 1, and technically we've answered the question because that is an expression that does not involve a fraction. And so you can stop as soon as you do not have fractions involved. So a little review from 5.1. In fact, let's take a look at one more from lesson 5.1. So it says simplify this expression. So notice there's no fractions involved, so we can't do common denominator work or conjugate work. You could maybe think of replacing this identity with what it equals in the Pythagorean identities. But notice whenever you have no fractions involved and two terms, always look for factoring techniques. In fact, this one's a great example of GCF work, greatest common factor. Between the two terms, notice there's a sign of x involved. And so if I factor that out, well, from itself, you have to have a placeholder 1. And if I factor it out from the second term, you're left with minus the cosine squared term. And by doing that, we quickly see that 1 minus cosine squared is an identity. In fact, that equals sine squared itself. And so now it becomes sine of x times sine squared of x, which sine of x times sine squared ends up being sine cubed of x, and that's our final answer. All right, let's take a look at yesterday's stuff, a little review. And so wanted to show you a little bit more challenging ones today to start. In fact, the two problems that we'll look at today are one of the more challenging ones you'll ever see on an assessment-wise, or some ones you have to maybe practice on your own. The reason I chose this one is because really, to me, the left or the right seems equally complicated. I mean, the right side has two trig functions. This has two trig functions, but it also involves a fraction. So maybe we could look at this left side and try to work it out from there. There is no trig identities that I see, so I don't see any squared Pythagorean identities. We could maybe rewrite that top term as 1 over cosine for secant. We can write that bottom term as 1 over sine for cosecant if we wanted, which might help us out a little bit. But then you have fractions over fractions, which tends to be a little bit confusing for us. If you did chose this technique, then you could write that as the top times the reciprocal of the bottom, which is sine of x over 1. The reason that that's helpful is now that if I distribute that through, well, sine of x over 1 times 1 is just sine of x, and in that second term you get sine of x over cosine of x, which is exactly tangent of x. So by doing that, we quickly get our answer of sine of x plus tangent of x. Another strategy here is, since it's over a monomial, one-term polynomial, you can split these up as separate terms. So it's like the reverse of doing common denominator work. So since it's over a monomial, I can write that expression as, instead of 1 plus secant over cosecant, I can write that as 1 over cosecant plus secant over cosecant. Well, 1 over cosecant is an identity. That's sine. And secant over cosecant might be a little bit more difficult to see there, but if I write the secant as 1 over cosine and I write my cosecant as 1 over sine and do keep, change, flip, that's the same as sine over cosine, which is the same as tangent itself. So either way, if you wanted to first write it as in terms of sine and cosine and then do keep, change, flip, and distribute, or if you wanted to split them up as separate terms and try to rewrite it after that, either strategy will get you to the right answer here. And now for the last one. So obvious to us that the left side here looks to be a lot more complicated than the right side, so let's kind of focus our attention on that left side to start. Since it's not over monomial, so you have two terms on the bottom, there's not two fractions involved, so we don't have to do common denominator work maybe yet. But since it's over two terms there, we could possibly do some conjugate work here, is what I'm thinking. Because again, it involves one fraction and involves two terms, and I don't see any squared terms there that I can do Pythagorean identity work with. So let's maybe just start with conjugate. So if I rewrite that left side, what I'm going to be doing as a strategy to start is multiplying by the conjugate of the bottom here. And the conjugate of the bottom ends up being tangent of x minus cotangent of x. So when I do that, I'm going to get pretty messy numerator here. In fact, if I distribute the numerator, that becomes secant sine tangent minus, if I distribute the second term, you get secant sine cotangent. All over, if I FOIL the bottom, I get tangent squared x minus cotangent squared x. Now it almost seems like the Denominator would be an identity, although those are two separate trig functions that don't involve the same Pythagorean identity. So you could either replace this with secant squared minus 1, or you could replace this with cosecant squared minus 1. But either way, if you do that, you just get the denominator being messier. So I believe that this strategy probably wasn't the best. And this is a prime example of just trying it out, seeing if it works. If it doesn't and it gets more messier, then maybe go back to the drawing board and try something different here. So we're going to look at a different method to try to maybe work this one out. Another technique is, with all else fails, we could write everything in terms of sine and cosine and work from there. So again, if I still focus on the left-hand side, I'm going to write that secant as 1 over cosine, and I'm going to write the sine as just sine. On the bottom, I can rewrite that as sine over cosine, that represents tangent, plus cotangent would be represented as cosine over sine. So I guess on top, I can write that as one fraction, so sine of x over cosine of x. And then in the bottom, I have a couple fractions involved. And so now best strategy here would be maybe focusing on the denominator, trying to make that one fraction. Well, to make that one fraction, I'd have to do common denominator work. And so common denominator work here, I'd multiply the first term by the denominator of the other one, so sine of x over sine of x. And I multiply the second term by the denominator of the first term, so cosine of x over cosine of x. On top, I didn't touch the top, so let's keep it as sine over cosine on top. But on the bottom, I can combine that as one fraction, and it ends up being sine squared plus cosine squared all over sine times cosine. And notice when I write the numerator of the denominator there, that's sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. And so what I have now is sine of x over cosine of x over 1 over sine times cosine. And since you have fraction over a fraction, I can keep, change, flip. So the top, keep the top, change it to a multiplication, flip the bottom. And let's see what we get. So it looks like after simplifying, the cosines will cancel, and what we're left with is sine times sine, which is sine squared, and that's exactly what we wanted in the end. We wanted it equal to sine squared. So finally finished. So if you look at the home page, there is another practice worksheet that I have for you to just try more problems of these today. There's only 7 that you have to work out. You can skip that number 6 down below. But notice I put hints for each problem on how to start. So in the first one, replace tangent with sine over cosine, and you might have to do common denominator work there to maybe bring it as 1. The second one there, if you split that up as, so notice this is over a monomial, so you can split that up as separate terms. So writing it as cosecant over sine cosecant, and then sine over that, and you might be able to think things cancel quickly for you. So check out the hints, try those the best you can. The key to this worksheet is posted in the modules as well as on the homepage, so you can check your work as you're working on these today. But when you're finished with these, there is a quick little formative assessment that I want you guys to do to submit before midnight tonight. And so here's the formative assessment. It's also posted on the homepage where it's going to be an assignment link so you can upload your image of your work. But my one hint to you here would be common denominator work. So right away, I would combine these two as one fraction. And so multiplying the first by sine, multiplying the second one by 1 minus cosine. Simplify the numerator, keep the denominator the same, because then you won't see what cancels. And so there's my hint for you. Try your best, and don't forget to submit that before midnight. Your homework all itself will be due in a couple days when we take the mid-chapter 5 exam. So good luck with practicing those problems. Don't hesitate to reach out for me if you ever have questions with any of these, or post those on the homework help page. I'll get back to you as quick as possible. But enjoy the rest of your day.